Well, I moved to Vermont in 1974 when I was 19 years old and built a very simple passive solar house in the woods. And I've lived there ever since, off the grid. And I started out, like a lot of people of my generation, as a hippie carpenter, building houses without knowing much about what I was doing, following the ideas of the Whole Earth Catalog and Mother Earth News. And after several decades of working as a builder, remodeler, roofer, different jobs in the building trades, I got a magazine job at the Journal of Light Construction and started working as an editor. And at the Journal of Light Construction and later as the editor of Energy Design Update, I started to really focus on energy issues. And through my work as a journalist, got to know a lot more about energy, blower doors, the history of super insulated houses, and found myself, especially at Energy Design Update, interviewing a lot of fascinating researchers and technical people who very generously shared their knowledge of building science to help bring me up to speed so I could do my job. And I would pick up the phone and call people at Oak Ridge or Lawrence Berkeley National Labs or Joe Stiebrick or John Straub whenever I had a question. And after a few years of this, I began to know enough about the topic that I felt much more confident reporting on it. In recent years, I've been writing a blog on energy issues for Green Building Advisor. And I write most of my blogs for the perspective of builders who are already knowledgeable about energy and want to know answers to questions that are not answered in most magazine articles or textbooks. And they're usually questions that I'm interested in. And my best blogs for me, the most fun blogs to write, are when I realize I don't have an answer to a question that I care about. And if I don't have an answer to a question, I figure, well, somebody else out there may be curious about the same thing. And so then I'll research it till I feel satisfied enough that, okay, this is the best answer I can get from people I know and trust, and I'll share what I've learned. But I also write for homeowners. About half my blogs are introductory topics for homeowners who want to know more about basic energy issues, how houses function, how they perform, why air tightness matters. And between shifting them back and forth between these two audiences that I write for, smart builders and architects on the one hand and homeowners on the other, I kind of have a range of articles that can answer a lot of questions. And I think it's a lot of fun. I love writing. I love being able to interview people. And I love sharing something that I've discovered with other people who might have the same curiosity. What excites me a lot about what I've learned about super insulated houses and the history of energy efficient construction in America is how the early pioneers learned a lot of things in the late 1970s and the 1980s and kept at these buildings at a time when most people in America didn't care. And a lot of this I learned from reading back issues of Energy Design Update after I became an editor. And Ned Nissen was the founder of that newsletter, a monthly newsletter started in about 1982 or 1983, in which he shared his excitement at learning about the Gene Ledger House in Massachusetts and the Saskatchewan Conservation House in Canada, both pioneering super insulated houses that kind of revolutionized the way builders thought about energy efficient building because they focused on air tightness. After the blower door hit the market in 1980, energy conscious builders could buy a blower door and for the first time really pay attention to air tightness in a way that wasn't possible before the blower door became available. And they got the gospel of energy efficiency and spread it. And Ned Nissen was one of these excited fanatics in the early days. He organized a speaking tour for Rob Dumont and Harold Orr from Saskatchewan to discuss the Saskatchewan Conservation House and spread the word in a way that is exciting because you realize that most American homes to this day are not built very well, and trivial changes in the way we build houses can have an enormous effect on home performance, on comfort, and on energy levels. And once you realize the basics, to pay attention to air tightness, to think about thermal bridging, to increase the R values and make sure your insulation is well installed, you realize it isn't that complicated. And it's exciting because it's simple, but it's interesting enough that there's a lot you've got to share with other people that's not intuitive. And that revolutionary idea of how to build a well-insulated, super insulated house has not changed yet the way most builders in America build houses. And as long as we have work to do, it's exciting because there's lots of people who want to learn about it and can rediscover these simple principles which kind of change the way you look at buildings. That's fun.